The clang of iron rang through the battlefield as Marcus Lucius pressed forward, his scutum raised high. The enemy, a scattered mass of undisciplined warriors, charged with wild fury, their swords glinting under the midday sun. But Marcus and his legion did not waver. They did not break formation. They did not surrender to the chaos. Because they were Roman. Marcus knew why Rome had conquered lands stretching from the icy highlands of Britannia to the scorching sands of Egypt. It was not brute strength, nor sheer numbers, nor even luck. It was strategy, discipline, and an iron will forged through years of rigorous training. As his gladius found its mark in the ribs of a screaming foe, he knew this battle, like countless others, would end in Roman victory. Rome's military superiority began with organization. Unlike their enemies, who often fought in loose groups relying on personal bravery, Roman legions were disciplined machines. Every soldier knew his place, every movement was practiced, and every command was absolute. Even in the face of overwhelming numbers, their formations held. Their shields overlapped like the scales of a serpent, impenetrable to the wild swings of barbarian swords. When a man fell, another took his place. There was no hesitation, no fear, only duty. But discipline alone did not win wars. Rome's engineering prowess played a crucial role. They built roads that allowed armies to march faster than their enemies thought possible. They constructed fortifications overnight, transforming empty fields into impregnable strongholds. Their siege engines, ballistae, onagers, and battering rams, turned even the most stubborn walls to rubble. No enemy could withstand the relentless advance of Roman ingenuity. Training made the Roman soldier a warrior unlike any other. From the moment a recruit entered the ranks, he was drilled tirelessly. He ran miles in full armor. He learned to wield his gladius with precision. He practiced formations until his movements became second nature. He fought not for glory, not for personal gain, but for Rome. To be a Roman soldier was to belong to something greater than oneself, to be a cog in the mighty war machine that ground Rome's enemies into dust. Marcus had seen this discipline in action countless times. Once, on the banks of the Danube, his legion faced a horde of Dacians. The enemy outnumbered them 2-1, their warriors clad in furs, their curved falxes deadly in close combat. But the Romans did not panic. They formed their testudo, shields locking together like an iron shell. Arrows rained down, but they clattered harmlessly off their shields. The Dacians charged, screaming, yet the Romans held their ground. At the right moment, the centurion barked a command, and the front ranks stepped forward in perfect unison, stabbing with their short swords. The Dacians, unused to such precise resistance, faltered, and then they broke. Rome had won again. Another factor in Rome's dominance was adaptability. Unlike many civilizations that clung to tradition, the Romans learned from their enemies. They adopted the cavalry tactics of the Parthians, the naval warfare of the Carthaginians, and the siege strategies of the Greeks. If an enemy had a superior weapon, Rome copied it, improved it, and turned it against them. No other army in history had the ability to evolve so rapidly, absorbing and refining foreign techniques to strengthen its own war machine. Marcus also understood that logistics won wars as much as swords. The Roman supply chain was unmatched. Their legions carried months' worth of rations, ensuring they never went hungry on campaign. Engineers built granaries, ensuring food was stored in conquered lands. Smiths traveled with the army, repairing weapons and armor. Medical units tended to the wounded, ensuring more men returned to fight another day. While Rome's enemies often struggled with starvation and disease, the legions remained strong and ready for battle. The leadership of Rome played an equally vital role. Generals like Julius Caesar, Scipio Africanus, and Trajan were not just commanders. They were visionaries. They led from the front, inspiring their men with courage and tactical brilliance. They studied their enemies, anticipated their movements, and exploited their weaknesses. The Roman army was not led by aristocrats who inherited command through birthright, but by battle-hardened strategists who earned their positions through merit and experience. But Rome's greatest advantage, Marcus knew, was its indomitable spirit. Roman soldiers did not fight merely to survive. They fought for Rome, for the Senate, for the legions, for the honor of their ancestors. Surrender was not an option. Defeat was unthinkable. Every battle was a chance to carve one's name into the annals of history. Every campaign brought the promise of glory and reward. Even when the odds were against them, Romans fought with a tenacity that left their enemies awed and broken. As the last of the enemy warriors fell, Marcus stood amidst the carnage, breathing heavily. The battlefield was littered with the bodies of Rome's foes. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the fallen. Another victory, another step in Rome's endless march toward greatness. Rome's military dominance was no accident. It was the result of meticulous planning, relentless training, superior engineering, and a culture that valued discipline above all else. While other civilizations rose and fell, Rome endured, expanding its reach, crushing resistance, and imposing its order upon the world. Marcus wiped the blood from his gladius and turned to his comrades, their armor gleaming in the fading sunlight. They had fought as one, an unbreakable force against the tide of chaos. And as long as Rome's legions stood, as long as its soldiers upheld the ideals of their ancestors, no enemy could hope to stand against them. For Rome was not merely a city, nor just an empire. Rome was power, order, and destiny itself. Nightfall approached, and Marcus's legions set up camp, their precise efficiency turning the chaotic battlefield into an organized encampment. Sentries stood watch, their eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of an ambush. Fires burned low, casting flickering shadows against the sturdy wooden palisades. The Romans, ever prepared, never allowed victory to dull their vigilance. As Marcus sat sharpening his blade, he thought of the battles yet to come. Rome's enemies would not cease. More campaigns would be waged, more lands conquered. But as long as the legions marched, as long as men like him stood ready, Rome would remain the greatest power the world had ever known. A horn sounded in the distance, a signal from the scouts. Something stirred in the night, perhaps remnants of the defeated force seeking vengeance. Marcus stood, his grip tightening on his weapon. Another battle awaited, and he would meet it as he always had, with the unyielding strength of a Roman warrior.